last one, we're gonna do a quick little mini quiz. I know we usually do mini quizzes on on Wednesdays, but today we're gonna try it on Nearpod. Okay. So I need everybody to go to nearpod.com. I want you to put in the code that I'm about to show you on the screen right now. Okay. I swear this was loaded before. I promise you it was. Oh man. It's there. Oh, this was definitely. Okay. So, right here, this is the code that we're using, BDFTZ. BDFTZ. So, this is the code that we're using.
Dada.
And we should be, oh, come on. What a microorganism is. Somebody with braids. Read for me what a microorganism is. Can I get a volunteer? Somebody raise their hand. Why you out? Does Trendo have braids? Zamari, go ahead.
I think, microorganisms are organisms that are so small that a microscope is needed to view.
Thank you. So, remember last week we talked about microscopes and how we use them to look at tiny, tiny, tiny organisms and see if they were living things or not. So, microorganisms are one of those things, right? So, microorganisms are organisms that are so small that a microscope is needed to view it, okay? So, please make sure under our notes we're doing vocab. This is one of the vocab that we're writing down. What are microorganisms, all right? So, I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to make sure we have this down in our notes. And when you're done, can you give me a thumbs up so I know that we're ready to move on, okay? Blake, you got these notes down? Come on, Blake. I get it. I know it's Tuesday. We're tired. It's still kind of early in the week. But we talked about today, we talked about being able to control the controllables, right? So if our goals are to have successful grades and be successful in school, we got to be able to control our energy, right? We got to be able to control the work we put in, right? Now, it's going to be great days, but today we're going to try our best, all right? So I'm going to give us about 15 more seconds. Can I get a thumbs up when you have microorganisms written down? Get ready to move on. Thank you, Zamari. Thank you, Jakayla. Kennedy, you done? Thank you, Kalia. Zamari, you done? You ready to move on? Markel, you got these notes? Najee, where you at, buddy? All right, so to the right, we have three pictures of organisms, right? So we have bacteria, which are E. coli. Like here, the example of bacteria is E. coli. We have archaea, which right here is an example. The example is the Thermopolis. And then we have fungi, right? So this is bread mold. So that's the example that we're using right here. Bread mold is the fungi. But today, we're going to talk specifically about E. coli. But in the chat, can you tell me which one of these microorganisms do you think humans are most like, right? Just from looking at them, which one do you think humans are most like? Not which one do we like, because I don't think anybody likes moldy bread. But what do you think we are most like? Which ones are we most comparable to, right? Bacteria, archaea, or fungi? And in the chat, I'm seeing some bacteria. Thank you, Jalea. Thank you, Kalia. I'm getting a lot of participation from the same people. Their grades are going to be phenomenal. So, like, Jalea Henley, Kalia Bailey, Jalea Coachman, you guys are doing great participating. But I need a lot more. I need some more of us to make sure we're participating as well, all right? So, again, which one do you think humans are most like? Thank you, Zamari. Thank you, Kennedy. All right. So we're going to learn more as we learn about what these bacteria or what these organisms do and how they're considered living or non-living things, and then we'll be able to tell which ones are most similar to humans. All right. So keep in mind which microorganism is most like humans. So we can talk about that when we're done. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about. Can I have somebody? Actually, no, I'm going to read this, okay? So, which of these organisms do you think humans are most like? So, we talked about that already, right? So, what kind of questions do you think you need to ask to gather information to answer these questions, right? So, next week, we'll be able to answer what type of things we need to know to figure out which ones we're most like, all right? So, think about what kind of questions do we need to ask to know which ones we're most like. So, I want you to keep in mind some of the characteristics of life that we talked about, right? So these things you want to think, are they living or not living? You want to think, do these things breathe? Do they need water? All right, so we're going to take a look at some other microorganisms inside of a petri dish, right? So in the petri dish that you see to the right of you, it is called agar plate. Agar is a sterilized algae, which means it's just a normal algae, right? And the nutrients are added to support life. So if you were to touch the agar plant, would it remain sterile, right? So what do you think? Do you think if it was to touch the algae plant, or if you were to touch the algae or the agar plant plate, would it remain sterile?
Aya.
So actually, let me back up real quick. I'm sorry. I didn't explain this. So can I have everybody put your face in the camera for me, please? Face in the camera, face in the camera. Need to see everybody. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you know what sterile means. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. If I know what sterile is, give me a thumbs up. If I don't, give me a thumbs down. So I'm not seeing any thumbs. Leah says she's confused. Blake said he doesn't know. Kyra doesn't know. Okay, got you. My bad. So I apologize. Mr. Isaac should be more clear when we're introducing new words. So sterile is free from bacteria or living microorganisms. It's totally clean. So it's completely clean. So when you want to, like, when they said, have you ever heard how people sterilize bathrooms? So like when we had to leave the building because they were worried about the coronavirus, they had to sterilize our building. They had to clean our building, make sure it was free from any bacteria or any living microorganism. Everything had to be completely cleaned, okay? So can somebody tell me what sterile means? What does it mean to have something sterilized? Go ahead, Kalia. No, I'm sorry, Kalia. Sorry, no. Jalea, go ahead. Jalea, tell me what sterile means. Jalea, go ahead.
Sterile means clean.
Exactly, right? It's completely clean. It's free of any living organism. There's no bacteria. There's nothing on it, all right? So, with that being said, now we know that sterile means that it's completely clean. There's no bacteria. If you take a look at this agar or the agar plate, there's sterilized or completely clean algae in the plate. All right. If you were to touch this plate that was completely clean and there was nothing in it, no living organism at all, if you were to put your finger on it, do you think that it would remain sterile? So go ahead and type in the chat. Do you think it would remain sterile? No. Seeing some no's. Clea, you want to share? Do you think it will remain sterile? So yeah, thinking about where your hands are all day, right? You're touching a bunch of things. Do you think it will remain sterile, right? Clea, do you think it will remain sterile?
No, I don't think it will remain sterile because we've been.
Can't hear you. I'm sorry, sweetie. Your camera's going out. Sorry. Somebody help her out, those? Somebody, because we can't really hear it too well. Who can tell me? I'm seeing a lot of great answers in the chat. Somebody want to share out? Do you think if you touch a sterilized plate with your hands, will it remain sterile? How about I have, let's see, who have I not called on yet? Go ahead, Markel. What do you think?
As you put your finger on the sterilized plate, it
Mhm.
will like your germs will get on the plate, and then if you put food on that plate, your fingerprints will be on the plate. So basically, your germs will be on the food, and then if you eat that food, it's gonna be germs, and you might get sick.
Exactly. So you'll pass along your bacteria, right? So if it's a completely sterilized plate, if you pass along your bacteria, you'll add bacteria to the plate. All right. So I'm going to show you an example of what it looks like as you add bacteria to a plate. Okay. So when you take here on the right, we have the agar plate. So what do you notice is the difference between A, which is the first day, and D, which is the last day, right? So when you leave the agar plate outside and you leave it for 4 days, it's it's not covered. It starts off sterilized, it's uncovered. It's just sitting outside, and it sits there for 4 days. What do you think is happening from day 1 all the way till day 4? What do you think is happening from day 1 all the way till day 4?